How's it going, everyone? It's Matt again from Casually Crafted 3D, and today, obviously, we have another AC frame. Technically, two. They are basically the same kit, they just have separate pieces to differentiate them. That being the AX-J-12X BASHO frame from Boss Arsenal, or the Bellius Applied Weapon Systems. So here is the regular Basho, and then of course we had the RID repaired version, just using scrap, which was just in the prison break mission for the aptly named Jailbreak AC frame. So there are quite a bit of differences between the two. So I basically just made it so you can swap out parts to make either, just as kind of like an option thing if you want to. This isn't the true full jailbreak, quote unquote jailbreak AC. I have already made the Morley, but I still need to make the Ludlow and I need to make the Kyoriku in order to truly have the jailbreak AC. But those parts are coming soon. Don't worry about that. I will be making those soon. But obviously, we have at least the Basho frame and the highly, highly requested Basho arms in particular, because a lot of people want to make their melee builds, I know. So you can do that now. So these are, of course, 30-minute mission scale and completely 30-minute mission compatible with all previous releases, both official and unofficial, meaning my stuff. So you can fully swap anything out on this. The arms are compatible with any of the official kits, the heads, legs, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with all the back weapons, arm weapons, melee weapons, all that good stuff. Same as my Alba frame. If you saw my previous video on that, then you already know the deal with that. But let me move Jailbreak back there a little bit, and so you can get a better look at Basho. And I apologize for the paint. I did a very rushed, a very dirty paint job on this, so it is not a clean paint job at all. So don't judge me too hard. I actually mismatched the color pretty bad because I ran out of the specific color that I was using for the regular gray here, and I ended up having to use a darker shade, and I mismatched the color, and I didn't realize that the color was off until I put the top coat on, and now he looks like he has dark legs and a dark crotch for some reason. Whoops. But, oh well, doesn't matter. This is just my prototype, so I'm just here to show it off. But here we have the whole thing, show you some of the detail all over him. Flip him around to the back so you can see all the good stuff. I'll of course put them on the turntable so you can see all the details at some point, probably later in the video. But there is Basho, and then here is Jailbreak. The difference being, of course, the shoulder armor is different. This is just a completely different piece because it's missing all of this. On the same arm, it's missing the rail that would be here on the back and the rail here. One of the lights are burnt out. Around to the other arm, we have some panels that are missing from here. The big, I don't know what this part is. It's kind of like a hanger system or something that's missing off of it. It's the difference with the arms. The heads has some lights burnt out in it. The side of the head panel is all broken out. The chest, of course, has this big section here that's been replaced. It's missing some parts here on the joint. And I was actually, I'll turn it around to the side, I was actually able to make the blown out muffler part on the back. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. One of the power cables back here are missing. One of the little fuel canisters down there are missing. Just various things. I tried to get it as accurate as I possibly could to the game. Here's the legs. This entire back pylon part is missing, and this is a separate piece that you can put in there to make it the jailbreak version. Same thing with how on the one side you have the panel here, but on the other side you have kind of like these canisters or whatever going on there, as well as some exposed internals here. So I tried to make it as accurate to the game as I could, with making it asymmetrical and whatnot. But yeah, so I also made each of these able to have the core be openable. So this is the collapsed core with everything together. So basically what you will do is this top section here will just unpeg this section. You'll just unpeg that section. And then this entire back part here will just come off. And this is the concealed or enclosed core expansion. So we'll set that aside. And then we have these two new parts for the extended little cooling bits, or I don't know what you would call this. And then this is the completely open core expansion with these pylons that are shot out. And in the game, these things would be spinning. And then it's got like this extra engine block down here. But to put that on, you literally just slot it right in place. And then the new engine bit will just peg right in where the old one did. And there is the open core expansion. Of course, I made each of these to be able to receive any of the official mounts and then also my custom mounts. But they go in on either side, just like so, on any of these, and they are slightly tilted even on the open core expansion, so you can still put the mounts on there. And then you can put any weapons on there of your choice. Here I have some official weapons. Here's one of the I believe these are the P-32 missiles, and you can just put those on the mounts like so, just showing that they are completely compatible. So there is that. I suppose I can also show off real quick. We have some hand options. So we of course have the fists here. They just peg right in, just like how the Albas did. So these are the closed fists. And then we also have the open hands. So kind of like splayed, relaxed hands. And then we have the holding hands that are more like your standard 30-minute mission kits. The holding hands just have this little panel here that pops off, and then you can put any of the official or unofficial weapons just right between there, like so. Put the hand panel back on, and then of course you can, I have the wrong hand here, but you can of course put that in either of these AC's hands. Oh, come on, get in there. There we go. And then they can hold any of the official or unofficial weapons just fine. No problem. So I'll go ahead and put his fists back in there. Figure I'll also show off right here the melee weapon port. Can of course receive any of the official and unofficial weapons. Here is the official laser dagger, and you can of course put that on the melee ports just fine. So those work. And here, I will also show off, while we're here, here is the official orbiter kit. So it is the perfect right size. And let's show off some compatibility with this. So how about the boosters? So the boosters are also able to go in any of the slots here. So you can put any boosters of your choice in there, whether they be my unofficial ones or Bandai's official ones. Those are compatible. How about we swap the legs? So we can swap these just fine. Go ahead and pull Jailbreak in half. It uses the exact same connections, so you can swap them no problem both ways. So everything cross compatible, and you can do the same thing with the heads and with the arms, all that good stuff. But let me get everything kind of back together here so that we can talk about some articulation. I'll just set Basho back here. I know I'm focusing more on Jailbreak, but trust me, it has the exact same stuff. So let's start with the legs. So I feel like I should mention now, these, just like all of my other kits, I put articulation in these so that you can pose them however you want to, but just know they will be loose because they, you know, even with paint on them, they are meant to be glued in place. Keep that in mind. I cannot stress this enough. I've had a couple of people wondering and a couple of complaints and whatnot. You have to realize the intent of these. That you're not supposed to play with these guys. You're supposed to build them, paint them, and put them on a shelf. Do not expect to play with these like a toy. Anyways, the obviously you saw with the waist section, it is on a ball joint, so it moves around just fine. I also made ball joints in the hips. Now, I made these ball joints rather deep, so you can kind of compress the legs to make them go up a little bit closer to the waist, but you can also pull them out and get a little bit more motion out of them. So when you pull them out on that ball joint, you get quite a bit of motion all around, and then of course you can rotate them just fine. Be careful with these hips though, because even the resin that I use, even if you print them in FDM, it's a ball joint, and ball jointed hips are kind of a pain to work with, but I couldn't really figure out any other way to get like a good hinge system in there, like how I did with with the Alba kit. So I was kind of limited to just using ball joints. So just be careful with them. Just warning you. The knees here have a double knee hinge, so there's a hinge here and a hinge here, so that you can bend at the lower section and then bend at the upper section to get you 90 degrees. And the exact same thing is on the special side with the Jailbreak, but this side is a little bit tighter. For some reason, no matter how I do it, with the tolerances of having these little kind of piston sections here, this upper part is always really tight, but you can still bend it to get the 90 degrees. And then of course we have the ankles. So the ankles, there is a joint right here that allows you to pivot side to side, and then there's a joint in the back of the foot here that allows you to pivot the foot up and down. So that gives you plenty of motion to be able to get flight poses or standing or kind of like an action pose. It should give you plenty of posability for that. So there are the Basho and Jailbreak legs. So now let's talk about, we'll start at the head. So there is a ball joint in the very top of the neck. And once again, kind of like the hips, if you pull up on that ball joint, I just popped it off, but once you pull up on it, you can move this thing around in whatever way that you want to get whatever poses you need, and then you can just push it back down and it'll kind of like lock it in place if you want it in just the standard pose. These shoulders are also on ball joints. I tried to model them pretty much exactly like how the official kits are. So when they're pushed in, you can just rotate them around. But when you pull them out a bit, you can actually pull them kind of up on that ball joint and angle them. I'll just pull it out so you can see it. This is kind of the way that the ball joint is kind of skewed upwards so that you can pull it up and move it around. And I suppose I'll show while we're here that they are compatible with like the Orbiter kits. So you can swap those out. The shoulder is also on a little pin right here, so you can move the shoulder part independently. There is a joint here below that little block, which allows you to rotate the arm above the bicep. And then there is another pin that runs through the elbow here, so you can get about 90 degrees on that. And then, of course, the wrist is just on the pin, so you can rotate that around. So there are the arms. So that about does it for all the articulation on them. But I'll go ahead and get everything put back together, and we'll take a look at some size comparisons with some of my other kits. so you can see what else we're working with here. Alright, so let's compare them next to some other kits. How about some official ones? Here is the 30-minute missions Nightfall Raven. And how about the official Orbiter kit? Just the regular base Orbiter. And how about here is Steel Haze. And here is Liger Tail. Give you a sense of some official kit size. It's the exact same scale as the other 30-minute mission stuff. And of course, let's show it next to some of my kits. So here is my Steel Haze Ortus. Here is my base Alba frame. And just because I can, I'll put it here in the back. Here is my Ibis kit. For those that did not know that I made this, there's my Ibis. Alright, and there they are up on the rotating base. I did forget to mention in the initial video, they are both compatible with any of the official and unofficial 3mm display stands or whatever the action bases that Bandai makes. They just have this little hole underneath the waist that you can plug them into, just like any of their other Gundam models or their other 30-minute mission stuff. But here I just have a couple of parts on there. These are all official weapon parts. I didn't bring out any of my, my custom parts today just because I didn't feel like it. Just showing their compatibility. But yeah, that's the whole point of these guys and everything else that I make moving forwards. Everything is, I want everything to be compatible with everything official and unofficial, just because I really want everyone to be able to make any build that they want from the game. Ideally, at some point here in the future, I will have made every part in the game, and then you can make any AC build that you want. So that is the goal. Speaking of the AC frames, and seeing how obviously this makes 3 AC frames out of the game that I've made so far. Well, technically 2. It's not, Jailbreak isn't really that different from Basho, but give me some credit. The way that we decide these frames is usually we have polls over on Patreon. So I strongly suggest that you go over there if you're not already a member. You don't have to be a paid member. You don't have to be one of my patrons like in the beginning of the video. I'm very thankful for everyone that is, but you don't have to be. You can go on there as a free member and you can still vote on any of our monthly polls to decide what I am going to make next. This one was a bit of an anomaly, though, because I had a very generous fellow that reached out to me about commissioning this right after I made the Alba frame. He chose to remain anonymous, so I'm not going to, say who it was. They didn't want me to say. But thank you regardless for commissioning this, of course. And of course, I know that a lot of other people are going to be very happy to finally have the Basho frame as well. So thank you if you are watching this. Of course, if you want to check out my Patreon and participate in any of the polls, they are linked in the description, or rather the Patreon is. I will say at the point of this video going up, the 3D print files to make these yourself, if you own a 3D printer, they have already been available for probably a little bit now, so you can go on there and you can download those while they are available for this month's rewards. If not, if you don't own a 3D printer, don't fret, because I do sell these kits on my various shops, so you can check out any of those in my link tree down below if you would like to pick up a physical copy for yourself. But, of course, thank you so much for watching this far in the video. If you did, I really appreciate it. Please consider leaving a like on the video, comment, subscribe if you wouldn't mind. If you like any of the other stuff that I showed in the comparisons, I showed, of course, my Ortus, I showed my Alba, and I showed my Ibis. There's a bunch of other kits that I've made that I didn't show, and a metric fuck ton of parts that I've made. You can check those out. I have various videos for that linked in my profile. There's a whole bunch of videos and playlists there that you can check those out if you are interested. But thank you so much for watching. Please consider checking out my Patreon, and I will, of course, see you in the next video. Bye.